We wanted to take you through what life for our commander-in-chief really looks like on, just a daily basis. So we picked a random day. We chose yesterday. But before we get into that, let's welcome in former White House Communications Director Mercedes Schlapp and former Principal Deputy Press Secretary at the White House. They worked together under former President Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, Hogan Gidley joining us this morning. Great to have you both back together. So the president is with the Japanese Prime Minister. Even for Joe Biden, this is a relative layup, the question, but Joe Biden cannot land the plane. Take a listen.
On the issue of abortion, so respectfully, what do you say to the people of Arizona right now who are witnessing a law go in place that dates back to the Civil War here?
Elect me. I'm in the 20th century, 21st century, not back then. They weren't even a state. I find.
Sir, how does the
Thank you.
I'd take out the earpiece too. All right, so Mercedes, elect me. I'm in the 20th century, 21st century, not back then. They weren't even a state. I just want to remind everybody that the guy standing right next to him, the Prime Minister of Japan, does not speak English, nor does Joe Biden. He speaks Japanese, but I feel so bad for the translator. That's try to work that out.
Oh, yeah.
For the Prime Minister of Japan.
Right.
Mercedes, your reaction as former communications director at the White House.
Look, this was a layup question. It was an easy question for Joe Biden to really have that one soundbite that he probably needed to address this issue, because that's what the Democrats are running on. They're running on this issue of abortion and on fear-mongering they think is going to be effective. And it just shows that Joe Biden, the cognitive decline is so severe, it's so troubling. And I think it gets to a point that the American people obviously are seeing it firsthand, where he can't even answer a basic question, an easy question for Joe Biden. Instead, he starts to walk off as he normally does. That's kind of his way of dealing with these issues. He doesn't want to be addressing these reporters, even with the easiest questions.
And he seemed to kind of double down on the 20th century. He said 20th. Maybe that's why he referred to his legacy as being that of Vietnam yesterday. But this really was fun to watch. So he went on to take questions from reporters, but that didn't go so well either. Take a look.
Next question. Who do I call on next? Hang on a second. I got my list here. Hang on. I apologize. Aurelia of AFP.
I think the birds tweeting really
chirping.
just really adds to it. Hogan, he can't even call on a reporter, the same reporters that have been covering him in the front row for 3.5 years now.
Yeah, more than just covering him for the last 3 years. They've been carrying his water. They've been pushing his message for more than 3.5 years. You'd think he'd be grateful and would be able to call them all out by name. At the very least, as president, you should just look up and see who's raising their hand, spot a familiar face, and go, yeah, you.
Yep.
Nope, yeah, you. You're next. It's just his lack of abilities, both physical and mental, that are so problematic. And again, while Japan was on hand to witness this, the rest of the world sees this in real time, too. There's no wonder there are wars breaking out all over this planet. No wonder so many other foreign leaders are testing America's resolve and testing America's president, because this guy has failed on the simplest of tasks. He can't answer a simple question about the only issue that Democrats are running on. No policies to impact our gas or our groceries or our crime or our southern border. They're only talking about abortion, and he can't even get the century right, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, Hogan, these are state approved. You were press secretary. You'd call on whoever was in the room, whoever had their hand up. These are state approved reporters with pre-approved questions. And by the way, back to the 20th century thing, it's 2024. We're a quarter of the way through the 21st century. All right, it's not like it's 2001 or something, or 2002, and boy, you're still making that mistake, like, writing the wrong year on a check, or something. It's 2024, you bonehead. All right.
Speaking of 21st century, Rob, checks?
Well, I still write checks. My agent.
I do too. I'm just messing with you.
He's like, Venmo me. I'm like, I don't have Venmo. All right. Do you have Venmo?
Yes,
I don't.
course.
I don't have any of that stuff.